So all that stuff has evolved with me, like evolving with it, I guess. So I think it's a great thing for like promotions and for me keeping up with people, seeing people. But I also think it's bad just because you spend so much time and you get lost. And I hear about the things that happen on social media, albeit bullying, albeit just people portraying a different sense of reality on social media that could make us everyday people feel a certain way.
Do you think social media, do you think it's do you think it's a good thing, a bad thing, or do you think it's like both? Or what are things you like about it? What are things you dislike about it?
So I think it's a little bit of both. So coming from a generation, and I'm 35, so I grew up without social media, right? And then, you turn, I don't know, when I go to UCLA, I was 18 when Facebook came out, and they were like, oh, sign up on Facebook. You're in college. You can only have a college account in order to get on this, social media platform. And before that, we had, MySpace. So all that stuff has evolved with me, like evolving with it, I guess. So I think it's a great thing for like promotions and for me keeping up with people, seeing people. But I also think it's bad just because you spend so much time and you get lost. And I hear about the things that happen on social media, albeit bullying, albeit just people portraying a different sense of reality on social media that could make us everyday people feel a certain way. My kids, like, free. I never taught her how to use my phone. Even my son, I swear, he knows how to like scroll on my phone. And I'm like, I haven't taught you that. Like, how are you learning that? So for me, I try to keep them away from that. But I know it's inevitable. So I think it's a good and a bad. It's like a gift and a curse.
Yeah, I actually think most parents do. Like every single one that I've ever talked to, they're always like, yeah, I try to keep my young kids away from technology as much as I can. Because they can get just addicted to it. Like it's so easy for them to and it's easy for them to access stuff that they shouldn't,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
There's not many restrictions and filters on social media, which there should be. That's another thing. But yeah, I definitely think there's pros and there's cons. A lot of the people we've talked to, they always say business side of things, social media is the greatest thing ever.
Exactly.
But in personal stuff, social media, it's honestly kind of just, you don't need it. You don't need it at all. Another thing too is communication. A lot of people have it, I don't know. Some people think that it doesn't affect a person's communication that much because it depends on the person. And then some people are like, social media does kind of have an effect on people because talking in person with somebody versus texting
on the computer and texting.
Yeah. What do you feel? Do you think that's true?
Absolutely. I have, my husband has 2 nieces and a nephew, and just seeing them, we have family dinner probably almost every Sunday. So we're always over there or whatever. And they are literally glued to their tablet or their phone. They're just and they're not saying anything. They're not talking. They're not responding. You're just oh, hey, Carson. Hey, Ashley. And they're like, and I'm like, hey, Ashley. Hey, Carson. I'm speaking to you. So yeah, I absolutely think it plays a factor in how kids and people communicate. You have to be able to have this type of face-to-face interaction. I don't think that that's going to go away. I don't think that, I think face-to-face interaction is super important to developing who you are. But these kids are glued to their tablets and out. They could be watching YouTube. They could be texting someone, but they're not speaking. And I just think it's terrible.